All right, I want to take you back to September 2019. Fox News' Peter Doocy asked the then candidate, Joe Biden, very specifically if he had ever spoken to Hunter Biden about his overseas business dealings, and here is what he said.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
And so how do you know?
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated.
What? Okay, all right. He sounds pretty confident there. All right, let me tell you something, fatso, which he said to a later person. He better hope that nobody was coming forward and saying otherwise. I'm sure he was probably guaranteed at the time that everyone was in check and no one would say anything. There were no whistleblowers waiting in the shadows to expose him yet. So what does he pivot to? Immediately, Trump. Focus on Trump. Not these crazy allegations from you fatty. You Fox News zealot. That was the messaging throughout the entire campaign, and the mainstream media parroted it with teenage exuberance. It was like they're in love with Joe Biden. Oh, it's my first love. Now, that was during the campaign, but in April 22, it was still the story that the office of the president was now sticking to. Jen Psaki reiterated that the new president, Joe Biden, had never spoken to his son. Listen to Jen Psaki.
Does the president still maintain that he never spoke with his son about his business dealings? And given this reporting on Eric Schwerin, does he also say that he has never spoken to his son's business partners about his son's business dealings?
He maintains his same statements that he's made in the past.
It's important for the American people to know if their presidents are a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. Now, how times have changed. We know now that on March 20th, 2015, Hunter Biden allegedly arranged a meeting in Washington, D.C. with a high-level Burisma executive and had his father stop by. Now, I'd like to give you just a little bit of the story here. This is from The Blaze. While campaigning for president 2019, I have never spoken to my son about his overseas business deals. Remember, that's the line. Now, a new report is out that Devon Archer is going to testify before the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability about the 24 or more instances when he allegedly witnessed Joe Biden take part in his son's business calls or in-person meetings with foreign nationals and prospective investors. This figure is far greater than that indicated by the Obama White House visitors logs alone. A review of which found last year that Biden had held court with at least 14 of Hunter Biden's business associates while vice president. 14 we know of because of the visitor logs. Now it's more than 24. Archer's testimony should ultimately happen, but we don't know for sure. He was supposed to testify, I believe, yesterday, and he is canceled again for the third time. He just can't seem to make any time for it. It really stinks. He's so busy. Committee Chairman James Comer subpoenaed Archer last month, signaling that he had, quote, played a significant role in the Biden family business deals abroad, including but not limited to China, Russia, and Ukraine. Additionally, while undertaking these ventures with the Biden family, Mr. Archer met with the then Vice President Biden on multiple occasions, including in the White House. Mr. Archer's testimony is critical to the committee's investigation. Archer was at the investment firm Rosemont Seneca Partners with Hunter Biden, which, by the way, none of these guys had any kind of investment experience. None of them. They set up an investing house. Immediately after they set this up, within, I think it's 2 years, they get the largest investment ever to anyone outside of China from the Chinese government. Goldman Sachs didn't even get a deal like this. Goldman Sachs was like, gee, I wonder what that was. The committee is investigating foreign nationals' attempt to target and coerce high-ranking U.S. official family members by providing money or other benefits in exchange for certain actions. The committee is considering legislative solutions to this problem. They have identified Mr. Archer as possessing information relevant to its investigation and seeks your client's testimony regarding these and other related topics. According to Miranda Devine of the New York Post, Archer will testify about 2 dinners Hunter Biden set up for his then vice president father to meet with the business partners from Ukraine, Russia, and Krapkanistan in Washington, D.C. Scandal-plagued senior Burisma executive reportedly made an appearance at the first dinner along with the Russian billionaire Yelena Batrina, whom U.S. Senate report previously accused of wiring $3.5 million to Hunter Biden. I got to tell you, I mean, the ladies love him. I mean, he's worth every dime. This is the former mayor, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. Why was she giving him $3.5 million? For what? Well, maybe we'd know when Devon Archer testifies about the dinner that Hunter set up with her, the Burisma guy, in Washington, D.C. with his dad, which absolutely never happened. Following the April event, Hunter reportedly received an email from Burisma thanking him for making the introduction to his dad. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me the opportunity to meet your dad and spend some time together. This we know is true because it was on the laptop that, of course, was not Hunter's. That never happened. That's Russian disinformation. America, how many lies are you going to tolerate? I just don't know what it is going to take. Do you know, if you assume that, let's say, he stole $40 million, if you divide that up onto how many Americans there are, he took a bribe of 40 million people. That means, or $40 million. That means he sold the American citizens to foreign governments for about 30 cents. How do you feel about that? You don't want to know what an American's life is worth? According to this president, about 30 cents. That's what he sold his country out for. Now, we're no longer sending any kind of tracking, any kind of accountants, anything to Ukraine. We know they took at least $10 million in corrupt money from Ukraine. We are sending billions of dollars over there right now. Do you think that that is a good idea to send it without an accountant? Another one of the meetings Archer may discuss apparently took place on December 4th in Dubai following a Burisma board meeting. Archer is expected to testify that he and Hunter Biden left a dinner with Burisma board at the Burj Al Arab Hotel, traveled to the Four Seasons Resort in Dubai, then took a call from Burisma. The president or CEO of Burisma reportedly wanted to know where they were because Burisma's owner needed to speak to Hunter urgently. Soon afterward, the two Ukrainians joined Hunter and Archer at the Four Seasons bar, and the CEO asked Hunter, "Can you ring your dad?" Hunter allegedly complied, calling his father, putting the vice president on speakerphone, then introduced the Ukrainians to Joe Biden. He said the words to the effect that Burisma bigwigs need our support. While Archer will reportedly testify, the then vice president Joe Biden only spoke in vague pleasantries during the call. His actions just a few days later were loud and definitive. Biden traveled to Ukraine and strong-armed the government to fire its top prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, who had launched an investigation into the possible corruption at Burisma, a company that was paying Hunter well over $50,000 a month. Joe Biden then leveraged $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine just after the Russian annexation of the Crimea Peninsula in order to get the nation to oust Shokin. Biden claimed he did so because the prosecutor had not adequately dealt with corruption in the Ukrainian government. However, that's not what it was. We showed all of this to you as an audience 4 years ago. How long have we been talking about Devon Archer? How long has it been since we told you all of this? And we were deemed conspiracy theorists. We broke this story. Huh. So, America, what are you going to do about it? Do you remember the guy in 2019? He stood up at an Iowa event, and he questioned Biden about his health and then asked about Hunter Biden's dealings with Ukraine. He said, quote, "You sent your son over there to get a job and work for a gas company. He had no experience with gas or anything else." Biden said, "You're a damn liar, man. That's not true." We now know as a fact $10 million in bribes from the oligarch that ran Burisma for the purpose of facilitating Burisma business in the U.S. and Ukraine. You say I set up my son to work at an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack. Look, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man. Look, fat. Here's the deal. And they say that President Trump is rude.